What's up guys, Cloud Truth here, and today I'm going to be reviewing the KH-2002. The KH is an assault rifle that you can unlock in the co-op section of Battlefield 3. Just hop on with a buddy, play through a couple of missions, and you should unlock this gun in a pretty short amount of time. It is one of the early unlocks, around 17,000 points, so just play through a couple of missions and you should unlock this bad boy in no time. Now, the first thing I do want to mention before getting into this review is this gun is a burst fire. For those of you out there that have never seen footage of a KH or did not know that, it is a burst fire only. You can go single fire, but this gun has no full auto mode, which is why I am burst firing throughout this whole video, just because that is the default mode on the KH-2002. So the KH-2002 has a rounds per minute fire rate of 800, which is equal to the M16A3. It also has a 650 meters per second bullet speed. The max damage on the KH-2002 will be 25 at 8 meters with a minimum damage of 18.4 at 50 meters. The magazine holds 30 bullets plus 1 in the chamber for a total of 31. Both the damage and magazine are standard among all assault rifles in Battlefield 3. Now here comes the major downfall of the KH, which is its reload time. If you still have a bullet chamber, the KH will take 2.9 seconds to reload, and if you have completely exhausted your magazine and chamber bullet as well, that will take 3.65 seconds to reload. An extremely long time when compared to other assault rifles, which is one of the major downfalls of this weapon, and why I think some people stay away from it. I don't think it's one of the main reasons, but it is definitely a hindrance when it comes to the KH-2002, and oftentimes the reload gets me either killed, or if I'm lucky and I can finish reloading in time, I will get a kill, but oftentimes it gets me killed just because I'm trying to reload, and unfortunately enemies come around corners, and I just cannot reload fast enough to take them out, as opposed to using a gun like an M16A3 or even like an AK-74M. The threshold multiplier on this gun is slightly longer than other assault rifles at 0.85, so just take the reload time times your threshold and that will get you your reload cancel time. The recoil on the KH-2002 is actually some of the best recoil in the game, not when it comes to the low amount of recoil, but in how balanced it is. The KH has more side-to-side recoil or horizontal recoil than it does up and down or vertical recoil. The horizontal recoil is more than the vertical recoil, but it is balanced. It is even when it comes to both your left and right, making this weapon very easy to control, and you really don't have to worry about aiming more to one side than the other, which is great because oftentimes with some weapons you have to shoot more to the left or right because of the weapon's recoil pattern. This weapon you can basically shoot straight down the middle and it will recoil to your left and to your right evenly, making it a lot easier to control. Now, when it comes to the actual setup on the KH-2002, a lot of people struggle with debating on using the foregrip. This weapon does have overall fairly heavy side-to-side recoil. However, I have played with a foregrip on and a foregrip off, and it really comes down to a personal preference. I have found that it really doesn't affect me that much. I honestly don't really like to use the foregrip just because the KH is more of a medium to longer range assault rifle than it is a close quarters one. So the foregrip does slightly hinder you at range, making you a little bit less accurate, which is the reason why I do not like to run the foregrip. However, it is definitely a viable option because of the heavy side-to-side recoil that the KH-2002 brings, but it's really a personal preference when it comes to foregrip choice. It just comes down to you trying it out with the foregrip on and then trying the weapon with the foregrip off and just see how it works for you and then stick to that setup. Now, my personal favorite setup has got to be the Reflex Red Dot sight. I don't put a foregrip on there, like I said. I even don't put a bipod on just because I don't want to accidentally deploy it when I don't mean to. So I don't like to run the bipod on there. And then finally, I'll put the heavy barrel on, making the KH-2002, once again, extremely accurate at medium to long range. It already is, but the heavy barrel increases that accuracy, making this weapon very, very effective to those two ranges. So what's bad about the KH-2002? Well, one thing I've already stated is the slow reload time that it has. The other thing is, This gun is not great when it comes to extreme close quarters. It does do well in close quarters, but when you get to really within your, 5 meters out to about 8 meters, the gun is very difficult to handle because a lot of times people will freak out, including myself. I have a bad tendency to do that. We'll kind of just freak out and just spam the trigger as fast as they can. I mean, I do it too. You'll see a couple of these shots that I have. You got to be really careful when using the KH to not do that, because with the KH, this burst fire mode, you spam that trigger as fast as you can. It doesn't jam anymore like it did in the previous patch, but when you press the trigger as fast as you can, it will kind of get stuck into firing in one spot, and it's more difficult to drag your cursor or your crosshairs over to the enemy that may be just a little bit farther to your left or right, and really gets you stuck, locked into firing into one specific spot, and oftentimes that will get me killed. So one recommendation I would give when using the KH is take that extra half a second or even full second to line up your shots before firing. Because 90% of the time, if you do that, that will result in you getting the kill because the KH-2002 is so accurate. So be sure not to spam that trigger as fast as you can, just because the gun is much more difficult to handle. But if used correctly in medium range and lining up your shots and burst firing under control, the KH-2002 is by far one of the most effective assault rifles in the game. Alright guys, I hope you all enjoyed this review. I do apologize, I had a round of rush that I wanted to share with you all about this weapon, but it got corrupted so I couldn't use it, so I had to kind of scrap around and find stuff on my hard drive, so I do apologize for that. I had a great round of rush, but unfortunately, once again, the file got corrupted, so hopefully you guys still enjoyed this video, and please leave me your feedback below as far as what you guys think of the KH-2002, and I will talk to y'all later. You have a great day. Bye.